Hi guys, Bobby Jim's Books here, and before we start, I'd just like to say that this channel is going to be about me reviewing books that I read or have read, and the way it will work is if I've read a book before and then I will give a review on it straight up. If I haven't read a book, the book before, I will read the first 2 pages just to give a little taster, and then once I've read the book, I will give a review on it. So I guess let's get started. So the first ever book that I will be reading and reviewing is The World According to Bob, the sequel of A Street Cat Named Bob by James Bowen, and I'm just generally an animal lover, so I like the look of this book. So let's get started with chapter 1, The Night Watchman. It had been one of those days, the type where anything that could go wrong had gone wrong. It had begun when my alarm had failed to go off, and I'd overslept, which meant my cat Bob and I were already running late, when we set off to catch the bus near my flat in Tottenham, North London, on our way to Islington, where I sold my homeless magazine, The Big Issue. We were barely 5 minutes into our journey when things went from bad to worse. Bob was sitting in his usual position, half asleep on the seat next to me, when he suddenly lifted his head, looking around suspiciously. In the 2 years since I'd met him, Bob's ability to sniff trouble had been pretty near infallible. Within moments, the bus was filled with an acrid burning smell, and the panicked driver was announcing that our journey was being terminated and we all had to get off immediately. It wasn't quite the evacuation of the Titanic, but the bus was 3/4 full, so there was a lot of chaotic pushing and jostling. Bob didn't seem in a rush, so we left them to it, and were among the last to get off, which, as it turned out, was a wise decision. The bus may have smelled awful, but at least it was warm. We had come to a halt opposite a new building site, from where icy winds were whipping in at a rate of knots. I was glad that, while dashing out my flat, I hurriedly wrapped a particularly thick woolen scarf around Bob's neck. The crisis turned out to be nothing more serious than an overheated engine, but the driver had to wait for a bus company mechanic to fix it. So amid much grumbling and complaining, about 24 of us were left standing on the freezing cold pavement for almost half an hour while we waited for a replacement bus. The late morning traffic was terrible, so by the time Bob and I hopped off at our destination, Islington Green, we had been on the road for more than an hour and a half. We were now seriously late. I was going to miss the lunchtime rush, one of the most lucrative times for selling the magazine. As usual, the 5-minute walk to our pitch at Angel Tube Station was a stop-start affair. It always was when I had Bob with me. Sometimes I walked with him on a leather lead, but more often than not we travelled with him perched on my shoulders, gazing curiously out at the world, like the lookout on the prow of the ship. It wasn't something people were used to seeing every day of the week, so we could never walk more than 10 yards without someone wanting to say hello and stroke him, or take a photograph. That didn't bother me at all. He was a charismatic, striking-looking fellow, and I knew he relished the attention, proved it was friendly. Unfortunately, that wasn't something that could be guaranteed. So that's the first 2 pages of The World According to Bob. I hope you guys like the sound of it, so when I finish reading the book, I will give an overall review. Thanks for listening, bye bye.